All right, Andy Broadway, welcome to the show. And today I've got a really, really fantastic guest, and someone that I've been friends with I'm trying to calculate back, probably 15 years or so.
Maybe longer than that.
Yeah, we started our friendship backstage at a Tony Robbins seminar. I was at a Date with Destiny. I was working on the AV crew, and you'd come back and visit with us, and we'd do some tomfoolery and shenanigans back in the back, all the time back there, goofing off and stuff. And we established a friendship there. And over the years, our friendship has deepened, and we've done some business together and really enjoying life. But one of the people that I've been wanting to interview for a while, and you're hard to keep track of and to pin down, but I appreciate the time today.
My pleasure.
So give everyone a background of who you are to start with, and kind of where your philosophy comes from.
Well, Joseph McClendon III, and by profession, I'm a psychologist. I had a practice in Los Angeles for many years, about 6 years. Where I help people get over fears and phobias and emotional challenges and all those things. But quickly, I'm a neuropsychologist, so I help people do it in a more permanent and in a quicker way. But by trade, I'm what's known as an ultimate performance specialist, and that just means through seminars and workshops and live interventions and one-on-one coaching and mentoring, I help people get the best out of themselves. Kind of my brand is help people go further, faster. Mm-hmm. And I had the privilege of working with, Academy Award winners and movie stars and Grammy winners and you name it, royalty, sports figures. And the reason I share that with you is I've had the unbelievable good fortune to learn from people, because it's a two-way thing. I love to help people, but I also learn from people as well. So I have a huge tool chest of processes and systems and things to be able to help other people go further, faster as well.
And so over the years, how many millions of people have you spoken to in front of audiences?
Well, I was just talking to our friend Nick Unsworth just a few minutes ago. Estimation is about anywhere between 4.5 to probably 5 million people by now.
Wow, that's awesome. And during that time, you've seen just about every single behavior, every single belief system, every single, right?
Dude, I practiced in Los Angeles.
And you saw that before, right?
And you name it. I mean, every freak in the world, and I mean that lovingly, came out. So, I'm sure I've not seen everything, but there'd be very little that could surprise me in terms of human nature and human behavior.
Yeah. And so over the time, you've developed your own philosophies, your own mindsets, and that's what you share from the stage. But recently, you've been doing something different with what I call the 60-20-20 rule.
Yeah.
So give us an idea, a little sneak peek of what that is, what that philosophy is, and how it contradicts another philosophy that most people have.
Well, I'm not sure that it contradicts, Andy, as I just kind of, I look at everything as valuable, and even that, and the trending personal development philosophy is that everything that you want to do and everything that accomplishing things is 80-20, meaning it's 80% psychology, meaning how we think, and 20% mechanics and actually activity and know-how and all those things and strategy. And I believe that is true, at least the 20% side of it. But what I found through time, in working with people that are mega successful, or more specifically, it's not even the level of success, it is the quickness of which they got that. And it doesn't just mean, they made more money, but maybe they became healthier, they beat cancer, or they became, an entrepreneur, or whatever it is. In any area of our lives, is that there's no denying that luck, that circumstance, that happenstance, that situation, all these things, there's no denying that these don't play a role. They're in my opinion, it's 20%. So I say it's 60% psychology, meaning how we think, which is huge, still the bigger part of it.
Yeah.
And by the way, that affects the 20% of how we're going to the 20% mechanics, which is also going to affect whether we're going to think and do what it takes to create that other 20%, which is attraction or magnetism, I call it. Right. I have this concept that I call magnetic success, and that is I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to help you, that you're going to get everything that you want, but I'm going to show you how to set yourself up to be a magnet, that you stack the deck in the favor of those things flowing to you. We've all had situations, we've all had coincidences, we've all desired something, and it showed up in our lives without having to go through the school of hard knocks. So there's a way of hastening that and making it part of our DNA as well.
Right. And so you would call that other 20% the law of attraction, I think that
Well,
you said
I call
that,
it
right?
magnetism.
Magnetism, okay,
yeah.
cool.
I call it
cool.
because it's not, again, it's not just attracting things into your life. It's when you have a magnet,
Yeah.
okay, that magnet is sending out electromagnetic energy, and it's attracting steel to it. But here's what happens. Here's what people don't recognize, is that that thing that's being attracted to you is also, that you're being attracted to, it's moving towards you as well. So it's a mindset to get you to recognize that, wait a minute, not only am I, because, you know, the secret teaches us think what you want and so on and so forth, and that stuff will come flowing to you. I don't necessarily believe that that's the only part of it. You got to do your part. That's a huge part that's left out of that whole laws of attraction thing, is that, you know, you got to do your part. And sometimes that part that you do is not just the mechanical stuff that you do, it's how you think and how you feel and so on and so forth, and getting up early and staying up late and doing those things that you need to do to cause that thing, those things to move towards you as well, while you're moving towards it as well. So it's a huge, huge distinction.
Yeah. So when did your path begin in personal development? What was the very first book that you read or that was given to you, or however that was done?
I was unfortunately fortunate to have a very traumatic few years in my life that destroyed my confidence in myself. I just recently started sharing this. When I was 14 years old, I had an incident where a friend of mine, and I've been, and Danny, if you're out there, find me. A really good friend of mine, he was almost 16, because I remember he was almost getting ready to drive. And Danny was, you know, I looked up to him. He was like my really good friend and everything. He was, you know, tall, and he was, you know, charismatic, and the women liked him, the girls liked him, you know, 14, 15 years old. And I lived in a place called Lancaster, California. And Danny was just my really good friend. And Danny was, like myself, African-American, black. And we were coming home from the movies one night. And as we were coming home, the police were across the street, and they told us to stop and told us to come across the street to them. And as we started coming across the street to them, they said, "No, not you, him." And Danny started to walk, and they attacked him. And they didn't beat him up, but they put him in cuffs and they drove him out of town. Very long story short, it took us a couple of hours before he actually, because I ran home and I told his parents, told my parents, and he didn't show up for a couple of hours. And I never saw him again after that. Danny dropped off the face of the earth. He quit school, and he, you know, I saw him a couple times, but he was just a different kind of person. And that really disturbed me. And then a couple of other things happened in my life that caused me to doubt my self-worth. And one of the worst things that happened that set me up for what I was getting ready to tell you, to answer your question, was when I was 17 and a half years old, 3 grown men tried to take my life because of the color of my skin. And they left me there for dead, a whole bunch of stuff, and it destroyed me because I felt that if somebody could do that, then it meant something was wrong with me. Fast forward to when I was 18, by the time I was 18, I was homeless. I lived in a cardboard box in Lancaster, California. And what happened, Andy, was, very long story short, somebody that I didn't know, a kind person that didn't have to do this, gave me a book. And the book was Think and Grow Rich.
Wow,
yeah.
Powerful book.
And I read the book, and the principles in the book is what started me on my path, to answer your question, of personal development for myself. It changed my life. But the thing that I want everybody to know, and this is, I say this to everybody because we owe a debt to society. We truly do. It's not about just getting ourselves healthy, happy, and wealthy and all those things. It's what we're going to do to change the world, at the risk of sounding too noble.
Yeah.
And so when I went back to this man that gave me this book and I said, you know, you've changed my life, what do I do for you? And what he said to me was, what you do for me is do the same that I've done for you. You help as many people as you possibly can for the rest of your life. And that put me on the path of what I do now, because I'm blessed, I'm thankful, and grateful for all the things that that I've been able to experience in my life, my friends, you, the blessings in my life. And I always remember that that didn't come just because I wanted it. It became because I had help. It came because I had help, and people reached out to me, and so I know now how to help people go further faster. So that's my mission in life.
That's great. And then that led you to then, did somebody drag you in? There's always rumors of the story, so I'm going to get it true now. Somebody drug you into a Tony Robbins seminar?
Actually, they didn't drag me. I was having another crisis in my life, as you know, it's part of life.
Sure.
And they recommended that I go to a Tony Robbins seminar, and this is 1985. And I don't know why I wound up there, but I wound up there and met him, became friends, and because we kind of shared similar beliefs about human change, we started working together and developed a friendship and a business friendship throughout time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So let's wrap up the interview by asking one question, and that is, and it may sound a little bit morbid, but it's not morbid. But how do you want people to know you when you are no longer on this planet?
Oh, that's not morbid at all. That's called legacy.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. Three things. Number one, I have a saying, and it's usually what I close with, but I'll share it with you up front, and that is that I want people to remember that life is exactly what you dare to make it, and fortune favors the bold. And I want people to, upon my passing, recognize what's possible for them. I don't use myself as some shining example of the way things should be by any stretch of the imagination, but I do use myself as an example of what's possible. Meaning, if I can do it, then anybody can do it. And the third thing is I want people to just to remember, just to be happy, you know, just to smile, love yourself more, and everything's going to be okay.
That's great. All right, so where do we find out more information about you, Joseph?
You can go to my website, which is makeyourfate.com, or my name, josephmcclendon.com. They both come together, and everything is there.
All right, real simple. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Finally.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.